Alright, welcome back to BroJu Gaming. Justin's still trying to figure out why he's losing.
8 minutes in.
And he's 8 minutes into a level.
I got this. Silence, silence, silence.
Oh, sorry. Jeez, I wanna see. I wish I had a list of all the games that were announced on the Nintendo Direct. Because I want to talk about all of them. Tetris 99, I've been playing. I never realized how bad I was at Tetris until I played Tetris 99. I'm horrified. I'm horrible at Tetris. Like, I mean, yeah, I have like some friends that will beat me at Tetris and stuff like that. I was like, okay, but it's like, I'm not that bad. No, I have never hit above top 30 in Tetris 99.
And you can't cheat your way out like in Fortnite.
I mean, yeah. I mean, technically.
Can't just like do one line and then try to do another line. Everyone will attack you. There's no running away from the bullets.
Right. Because it's a battle royale, but it's not a battle royale. Because it's like, there's no way, because like in Fortnite, you just have to be the last one standing. So you don't even have to end up shooting people in Fortnite to win. All you have to do is like hide out, then shoot the last person when they're not paying attention, and then you win. You just have to be super lucky in that game. But in Tetris, there's no hiding. You just have to be good enough, knock out good players early, or just be good enough or quick enough to survive the onslaught and destroy them while you're trying to fix their damage.
You know, simple.
Yeah, it's simple. But it's also hard because Tetris is such a game. Like, of course, me as not being a proper gamer, I'm like constantly complaining about the pieces I get and just the pieces I get. Like, I'll be like, oh, this is not the piece I need, or I'll be so quick to put down the piece I didn't pay attention, so then I screwed myself over. Or it's like I don't have a choice because I made a bad choice, like too. Justin, look at your inhale. Your inhale is like the thickest thing ever, yo. But yeah, Tetris 99 is hard. I did get a chance to play some of the demos. There's another game that was like this mech fighter cop game. It was one of those. It looked really cool. It's a game that we don't really have too much information about, but it looks super cool. Another game I do want to play on the channel, but I'm not sure how we'll be able to deal with it, is Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3. That's a game I really want to play, but like that's gonna be another game where we have to be paying attention, and I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel about that. It's like I'm okay with like we're gonna do the.
Are you kidding me?
I'm okay with the whole we're gonna do the storyline thing, like we're just gonna play the game to the end, and you know just write it out. You know, I'm totally okay with that, but sometimes games frustrate me, and I don't like forcing myself to play video games. Like with this show, it's not really that I'm forcing myself to play video games, but I'm like, it's time when I can play video games, and I'm just like, okay, I'm getting a chance to play video games, and I don't feel like I'm wasting my time with this show. Even though maybe, possibly, at the end of the day, I might just be wasting my time. But I'm okay with this, because at least I'll have something to produce from it. I could say, oh yeah, look, this is what I did. Look at what I did. And like, I just get frustrated when there's nothing to show for like, whatever. That's why like, we kind of stopped Lego Marvel Superheroes halfway through and never came back to it. Just because it's such a big game, and it's supposed to kind of just be a time waster. It's a not very direct game. It's just a lot of stuff happening. There's a lot of stuff to do in that game. And it's not like, oh, if we do this, that, and the other, we'll get to this point in the game. Like, when I was watching it back, I was like, okay, we definitely could have finished this game. I think it was just because we kept taking a break and coming back to it and taking a break and coming back to it. It just didn't feel motivated to play that game. And then it wasn't really a challenging game either. It was just that I wasn't really paying attention to the game, which is why it felt the way that it did. Which is why I'd be like, oh, I can't figure out what to do here because there was just so much stimuli happening. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I like games where there's not a lot of stimuli, but I like games where there is a lot of stimuli. Like, I don't like empty games. I don't like a game where it's just like two things and you're like, oh, get to the end of that. But I do like games that have like an environment where you can explore and, you know, and you don't feel like you're restricted to paths and such.
Ah, what are you kidding me?
Wait, it didn't open?
Ah! What?
Just start over, Justin. Oh,
did I go backwards?
I think you got turned around. I think that was the starting point. I don't think that was the ending point. But yeah, because like games like this, I'm okay with because it's like it doesn't need.
That's probably why I jumped down.
It doesn't.
And why there were up things.
Yeah, like this game, there's not a lot to it. It's not over stimuli. There's not a lot of stuff happening. I feel like if Marble It Up had like a bunch of stuff happening, I'd be confused at where the goal was. I was like, where am I supposed to be going? Am I supposed to be going to the left? Am I supposed to be going to the right? It's just like just enough where you're just like, okay, this is appealing and I know where I'm going. I have an idea and so on. Lego Marvel Super Heroes 2, it just had a lot of stuff going on, but it was very linear at the same time, you know? It was like, oh, you have to do this, you have to get there, you have to do this. But you had your options of superheroes. It was like, you gave me a host of superheroes, but each of them have like a job. So I'm not getting a chance to use these superheroes the way I want to.
Oh, I had to go back and then I'm going forward.
Oh.
Wait, this is going back! I'm confused again!
Yikes. But yeah, it just felt like there was too much stimuli in that game. And then...
Are you kidding me?
And then... not Lego Disney. Yikes. Epic Mickey. Epic Mickey was like the perfect balance of not too much stuff, but it was like not too much stuff, and then it wasn't like enough stuff. It was like, okay, I feel like I'm free to go wherever, but it was very linear too. But it was also very handholdy. But then it just wasn't, it was just saying a lot of stuff without giving us any information, and then it gave us too much information, so there wasn't enough. It wasn't like I was learning to play the game. It just felt like I was just doing what the game wanted me to do. But there were other times where it was like, oh, you just take your own approach to this. It's giving you options and stuff like that. I don't know. I think I like games that give me options. Like, okay, there's I guess there's two games that I like. I like games that give me options, like Marble It Up, where it's like, okay, I can pick however I'm going to tackle this and so on. But I also kind of like linear games too, like Sonic and Mario. They're like, oh yeah, there's definitely a clear goal. You have to get to the end of this. Games that I can just play without thinking about it. But there's a lot of other games like roguelike games that are very much like you don't have to think about it, but you do have to think about it. I like games like that, but I also like fighting games too, because it's not like it's another game where you could just like relax and let your brain go.
Wow, slowest time ever. Braid is right. It's long and tedious.
Yeah.
And sometimes you go No. 5 seconds in and I already died. It was beautiful. Which way am I gonna go? Oh, I'm not going this way.
You're not going that way. But yeah, that's just how I feel about games in general. I don't know. But like, I also don't like games that like speak down to me too. Like children's games get on my nerves. Most children's games get on my nerves because they're very handholdy. And it's like, oh well, Julien, those games aren't for you. It's like, yeah, I get it, but like, I can still like those kinds of like stuff, you know? Like, we haven't played it yet on the channel, but like, Ben 10 Protective Earth is very handholdy. It's linear, there's a lot of stuff to look at, and it's great because you could just punch and beat your way to the end of the game. But it stops you from enjoying yourself. I don't like games that stop you from enjoying yourself. But then, I also don't like a game where it's like, it didn't explain enough to you, so you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. Like, I don't even know when it's gonna come out, but we started playing Indiana Jones, and there's a section where you're supposed to be shooting at a bad guy, and it literally took us like 2 episodes to figure out that we were supposed to shoot at the water tank. But there was no way we would have known to shoot at the water tank. It was like, I mean, yes, the game was like, oh, oh look, there's the ending. The game was like, oh, if the crosshairs turn green, that means that it's something you should probably shoot at. Which is probably okay. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. It's like, okay, if I can't shoot him, it was just weird. Because the way the game was worked, it was like, you need to point your crosshairs around the screen. But like,
it doesn't really give you enough time to figure
it out. Right.
Before you start
die.
Shooting again.
Right, because like, okay, so there was like that one scene. So it was like, there was the intro part where the guy wasn't shooting at you at all, and you were trying to figure out how to shoot at the guy. I guess eventually you would have ran the controller over the fireworks, and you'd be like, oh, I guess there's always stuff in the environment I can always shoot at. So then that was the instance where you learned that, oh, there are stuff in the environment that you can shoot at, and I should try looking at other things to try and shoot at. But like, the game didn't really make it obvious. Like, if Indiana Jones had said,
well, obvious enough.
Like, it didn't make it obvious enough. Like, there was like only a part of the water tower that you could hit. It wasn't the whole thing, it was just a patch on it. If Indiana Jones, while we were fighting, he was like, huh, that part
patch looks weak.
That patch looks weak. I would have been like, oh, okay, I can hit that. Because it's not a Julien adventure. It's not Julien playing, it's not an Indiana Jones adventure featuring Julien. It's Julien playing through in the Indiana Jones adventure. So if Indy looked at something and he was like, oh snap, that looks like something I can probably punch. Because like, it was so weird because like in the beginning of the game, how they were trying to explain the game, it was like Indiana Jones teaching you how to be Indiana Jones. But you were playing as Indiana Jones. So it was weird. Because it was like, you're playing as Indiana Jones, so you have to figure out what you're supposed to do. Which means that you have to make the choices for yourself, which I don't mind. But if they gave you multiple options to do things on your own, because like, okay, so the way you fight people, you have options. You can either you can use your whip to either disarm people or pull them in to punch them. You have uppercuts, you have hooks, and you had uppercuts, you had hooks, and you had jabs. So you could choose which ones you were going to do in order to punch the guy. Bigger guys do this, smaller guys do that. And it's like, okay, now here's your playground, go play. And it's like, okay, so I can fight these guys however I want to. But the problem was that not only was the motion controls bad, I just felt like I was at the mercy of the Wii remote, whether or not, however, the Wii remote wanted to recognize how I was moving. Because literally punching 3 different ways meant, like punching one way meant 3 different things. And like that was getting my nerves. So whenever I wanted to do a stronger one to take out a guy quickly, it was doing like different things. So like I wanted to do an uppercut, but it was always doing a jab. And the game just felt weird. Like it was really cool. Like it was giving me open world vibes, but then it just didn't give me enough to figure out what I was supposed to do. Like, okay, so like there was this one part where the guy, like basically I was following this guy, right? I was chasing down some bad guy, and he went down the door. He like went through a couple of doors. I was able to follow him through a couple of doors. Then the last door, I couldn't go through. So I was like, okay, maybe there's like somewhere I can go that would lead me to where he is.
Congrats.
And then I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do, but apparently there was a box I was supposed to move, and then there was a window I was supposed to crack by using my whip, and then swinging down onto the glass to break it. But they had never explained it up to that point. There was never a part of the tutorial that was like, hey, check for windows. You can usually break through windows. There was nothing like that in the game that was just like, hey, you know, or Indiana Jones was like, man, there's got to be another way to get in. But like, he should have, he didn't, but that's the thing though, because there's a lot of games that, okay, it was interesting because today we played two different games that were both very much on that spectrum of they were saying too much but not enough, and then another person just didn't say anything at all. Because like, okay, so we were playing Epic Mickey. It's the last episode we did Epic Mickey where where Small Pete was saying that the pipe behind the fan was broken. Okay, I got it. I saw it. The camera panned to the pipe. I knew that I had to get behind the pipe. But Small Pete just kept saying over and over again that there was a fan. But he wasn't saying how I could get through the fan. Because thinner wasn't working. There probably was some switch somewhere, but it never showed me the switch. Or something like, it wasn't clear because the game just wasn't bright enough for me to do anything. Then Indiana Jones didn't say anything about breaking through the window, and I was supposed to just know I was supposed to break through the window, and it had never told me at all that I could break through the window? Yikes, that looks awesome. And you failed.
I did.
Man, I can't wait to actually do that on my own. But yeah, it was just weird because like Indiana Jones didn't say enough. Small Pete wasn't saying anything either, but he was just repeating himself over and over again. Like Indiana Jones had just said, I wonder if there's another way to get in. Maybe there's a window or something. If he had said that once, I would have been like, okay, I look for a window. And if I found the window, would have seen the trigger, and I would have done the thing. But then Peg Leg Pete just kept saying, He was like, there's a window that there's a fan, there's a pipe behind that fan that you gotta do. And it's like, okay, I got it. All right, let me try and see if I can find it. There's a fan behind them, there's a pipe behind that fan that you need to fix. All right, Pete, I got it. No big deal. There is a pipe behind that fan. Okay, I got it. Tell me how to disable the fan. And he wouldn't tell me how to disable the fan. There was so much stuff happening that was just in that screen that just looked the same, but there wasn't enough. You know? It was just weird. Because it was like Indiana Jones wasn't saying enough, but then that other game wasn't. Small Pete wasn't saying enough. It was just weird. Like, I need a balance of like not hand holding, but not annoyingly telling me what I'm supposed to do. You know?
And then we done screwed up the game.
And then we screwed up the game because we couldn't even turn off the pipe. And then we just ended the game because we couldn't I didn't feel like restarting the game all the way from the beginning.
Wow, I feel miserable.
Right. Hang on, Justin. Next time on BroJu Gaming, I might argue a little bit more about games.
Gerhardt.